A beach in County Clare has become the first in the country to trial run drones as part of lifeguard teams. The pilot scheme, run by an Irish startup and by Clare County Council, aims to rapidly increase response times by shore teams when swimmers or surfers get into difficulty. Now, if it's successful, it's hoped the use of drones could be extended to other beaches across the country, as well as to mountain and river rescue crews. Our reporter Richard Chambers has been finding out how it all works. Richard, good morning.
Good morning, Pat.
So, what sort of machines are they using?
Yeah, this scheme is being rolled out by Clare County Council and an Irish company called Dronesar. It's a leading startup, and it's been rolled out in Spanish Point in West Clare. Now, it's one of the most popular beaches on the Clare coast, very popular with surfers and tourists passing through along the Wild Atlantic Way, but it's also very treacherous, so every second counts. So what they've done here, Pat, is they have a very robust set of lifeguard crews along the West Clare coast, but what they've done here now is they've added these drones. They have 2 drones at the minute which they're testing out with state-of-the-art cameras which can spot people in difficulty far faster than the average lifeguard crew. In fact, one recent study which was undertaken in Sweden showed it took a 14-strong lifeguard team about 4 minutes and 34 seconds to search and find a mannequin in a 100 square metre area. The drone team, which is a pilot and a lifeguard, took just 47 seconds to do the exact same thing. So Oisin McGrath is the CEO of Dronesar. He demonstrated how it all works, and he told us about how his team came up with the software, which is very much the key to the success of the programme.
I'm in the Air Corps, a military helicopter pilot there, so and Grode is with us as well. He's a flight instructor in the Air Corps as well, and Matthew is from Lahinch as well, so I met Matthew about 18 months ago. He did a drone course with us, and Matthew's an app developer, and then Liam Murray from Donegal Mountain Rescue, so it kind of has a fairly unique set of skills between the 4 of us, so we came together to design an app specifically for our rescue agencies. So we've been testing for the last 12 months, and it has a direct correlation of a project between DJI and the European Emergency Numbers Association. They did a project to investigate the use of drones in emergency response, and so we used the results of that, figured out all the problems that exist, and then we made an app to fix the problems. Yeah, so on the iPad we have the drone track. It's an enter the waypoint mission. The user can choose a waypoint mission or pre-planned saved missions, and then you can monitor the drone's track, and also the field of view of the camera is painted on the ground, so there's very easy recognition of where it's seen or where it hasn't seen. And just beside that as well, you can see the live feedback from the camera.
So picture in picture, yeah.
In about 10 minutes you'd cover 200,000 square metres at 30 metres of altitude. Suppose somebody to run along sand would probably be for a kilometre, maybe 4.5 minutes on sand, soft sand that's difficult to run in, maybe 4 minutes. The drone will cover that in about 40 seconds. So the drone has just finished its mission now, and it's going to beep and come back, and it's going to land here behind us. Hopefully we'll be the first to come back with some proper results. It's going to land here behind you. That's just...
Are you bringing it in?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the drone itself. I mean, it's a very small thing. It's no more than, I suppose, a remote control car almost.
Yeah, so the drone, this drone here is a DJI Mavic. It weighs 750 grams and has all the full automated functionality that any of the modern drones have, one of the most modern ones on the market. And the beauty about it is it's really compact, and it goes into a small little handy pack, so it's easily transportable. And then I suppose the beauty about it is when the weather's bad and it's windy and rainy, people aren't going to come to the beach, so we're probably not going to have much use for them in those days. But I suppose we'll be looking at days where there is swell and people on the beach more so, and the idea is to stay out beyond the surf line. We won't be flying directly over the people's heads, and fly the routes with the camera facing down towards the people to see if anybody is in trouble or if they're just waving to their friends, or and basically save time for rescues.
Now, people might think of drones and these large things where they fire weapons into insurgent areas and so on. This is small. I mean, this is, 50 centimetres across?
Yeah, it's about that. I think I sort of described it as it's almost the same size as like a standard remote control car. It sort of works pretty much the same.
And what did the locals make of this?
Yeah, a lot of local curiosity, Pat. I mean, they do make a bit of a racket, these drones, when they're at low altitude. Sounds like, a swarm of hornets or something like that. But they won't be operating directly over people's heads, as Oisin said. They'll be out beyond the surf line and at a high enough altitude where they'll be able to quickly sort of scan the beach and the shoreline as effectively as possible. But these beachgoers at Spanish Point were fond of the new additions.
Fantastic. He was just telling me there. I didn't know anything about it. It's a good idea, because at least you'd be seeing, you'd see what's going on.
Yeah, once you use the technology, it's there. I mean, you can only... They're only human beings. The lifeguards, they can only see so far.
Don't think the buzz will put people off on the beach with it?
No, once you know.
It's not a swarm of bees, yeah.
The girls just saying they can't go to the toilet anymore.
Can't go to the toilet anymore.
Actually, look, if it helps. I know it's mighty helping when they do, when they're looking for people lost at sea and stuff, so it's obviously a great addition. Yeah. What are you can see a beach this size now. I mean, you don't have people that swim between the flags. Do you know that kind of a way? So it's handy to be able to... I know the responsibility is only between the flags, but you have people that don't know the beach, and this one can be actually really dangerous. And there's like this particular beach is quite dangerous, you know what I mean? There's shifting sands and there's currents and stuff like that, so the drone helps keep a better eye out, you know?
Now, is this going to be rolled out to other beaches besides Spanish Point? And can it do anything else besides just photograph bathers?
Yeah, no official plans as yet, Pat, but Clare County Council say they're very enthused by the possibilities unearthed by the programme so far. And you'd imagine it would be particularly useful in tidal waters for surfers, especially when the weather is a little bit heavier, especially if you add things like heat sensors on the cameras as well. So Matthew Kelly, he's the iOS programmer at Dronesar, says the rescue teams will find the live video link particularly useful. And Claire McGrath of Clare County Council says it's all about giving the life-saving to the lifeguard stations.
We've had it out a couple of days and the lifeguards can see what it's doing. So from there on, I would see other beaches that it would be suitable for. We're keen to have the best technology available as we can for our lifeguards. It's fantastic to be forward thinking and moving forward with the whole thing. So I think the service needs to move on, provided the opportunity to do so.
How did this get off the ground? Literally get off the ground, I suppose. But how did this come about in the first place?
I'm a water safety officer and we had a conference in April and Irish Water Safety provided the speaker at the conference where they gave a demonstration. We were in Tramore and how the length of Tramore, how this drone could help the lifeguard service. And it's not seen as any substitution, it's a complete aid to the lifeguard service. It's to make the lifeguard service more efficient. The company have completely volunteered their time and their services, so we took advantage. It's a time factor where the lifeguard can see whether somebody's in distress. They might only be tying their shoelaces and the lifeguard has run halfway down the beach to discover that there's really no urgency. Or they might be in terrible distress and the lifeguard knows to bring the AD or to bring the stretcher. It's a tool to help them be more efficient with their time.
We thought it would be great to share the live video. If there's a helicopter on the way that they want to see is the location where the casualty is, somewhere they can land, or what they can do to help the casualty if they can have eyes on it sooner. So you have a username and password, so you can log in on your phone or your laptop, track the drone and look at its footage. And now we're getting into multiple drone tracking. So if you have a mountain team and you have many drones tracking, the command centre can look at each drone where it is, click each one and see the live video from it. So it's just an extra tool, just a little thing to help out the lifeguard. Even in, say, in Australia where they have sharks, you could have a shark watch, you could have a drone, you could even use it for more tasks. Like I've seen some beaches where they have a lot of lifebuoys along the beach. They could have a mission just for the drone to go down and check each lifebuoy to make sure it's okay. So it could be part of the everyday thing to have a drone. I think it'll be used all the time.
So the future of this technology, I mean, this is the first experiment, but it can be developed even further.
Yeah, I mean, Dronesar themselves are already thinking about adding things like artificial intelligence, so the drone and the camera will be like scouting around. It'll automatically recognise somebody in danger and get straight into the protocols, or things like photo recognition where you're looking for a certain person, or say somebody wearing blue, and it identify that. So it adds to the sort of specificity of it and adds to response times as well. Even in places like Australia, where they've also sort of started trial running this, you have things like they drop flotation devices and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's huge possibilities for this. But in the end, however, there will still be a need for the lifeguard teams on the shore. And one incident at Spanish Point just a couple of days ago sums up why they'll never actually be replaced, but simply added to. Bernard Cahill is the head lifeguard at Lahinch. He was off duty and driving past Spanish Point when his skills were called into action.
Finished in the Hinch that evening. We were very tired and I had to drop my colleague off, one of them off from Milltown. They run off, he lives just up the road here, and me and my sister were just driving back to Ennis. I was on the phone to my mum on the car and I said, "Mum, I think I'm going to have to do a rescue here." And at the time there was just this guy and his partner, and they were about chest to waist depth, and they were just swimming across the beach. And only for, say, we were lifeguards, and that's something that we're trained to do, is to spot a danger before it happens. And I could see he was heading for a rip current. He basically just ended up drifting out to sea, and by the time I got to him he was shouting for help. I think it was very, very close for him, and it was a bit of a shock for it to happen. So that Sunday I did the rescue. We had already rescued 16 or 15 people in County Clare already that day, and so a rescue for us would be defined as a person safe from drowning. So I suppose that's a huge amount of people.
In one day.
Yeah, you could compare it to the roads, whatever, but you know, it's 16 people is a lot of people. When there's surf, which is often the case in County Clare, there are rip currents. So basically every day there are rip currents running. So if you think about it this way, what goes up comes down, and what comes in, i.e. the waves, has to go back out. So a rip current is basically a current or a river flowing out to sea. So if a bodyboarder or a swimmer gets caught in it, it's very, very difficult to get back in. Once there's a rip current, we are busy, and we have to make sure there might be 10 people in the water, there might only be one person. That could still turn into a rescue if they're not careful. So the whole idea then is prevention, and we got to stop people from getting into it in the first place. And if they do manage to slip in, then it's to get them out of it, and that's the big part of the work that we do.
You hear the buzz over your head now with this drone. Would you like to take one of those back to the hinge with you?
Anything that we can get that, I suppose, adds to our tools is fantastic help for us to be able to identify what the situation is, what you need to bring before you actually have to go. First aid kits, defibs, paddle boards. It'd be interesting to see what they can add to this as well, if they could put PA systems and even drop a canister that pops open with some sort of inflatable object as it hits the water. Some of that would be cool to add to this, so I'm sure this is in its infancy stages and these are things that can be added to it. Yeah, it's cool.
The age of the drones, that report from Richard Chambers.